Dave here. I'm with Clare De Graaf, author of the 10-Second Rule. Clare, how do you know when following the 10-second rule that it's God?
Well, here's the truth. You don't always. And I think that's why the rule says just to the next thing you're reasonably certain Jesus wants you to do. Because I think that if we wait for certainty in these kinds of things, that most of us won't act. Because I've found that the search for certainty is kind of the enemy of obedience. So it has to be the kind of thing that we think Jesus would likely to ask us. Like, for instance, I write in the book that if a friend had come to me when I was a kid and said, your mother wants you to help the next person that you meet. What I know, given what I know about my mother's character and how gracious and generous and kind that she was, that would be the kind of thing my mother would ask my friend to ask me. And so to some extent, her life was actually her voice. I wouldn't actually have to hear her say it, but if somebody told me, that sounds like the kind of thing she'd ask me to do. So I think it's the same way, that the more that we know about Jesus, and not just about his teachings, but about his character, the more we know about him, the more confident we are this is the kind of thing that he'd ask us to do. And if not, let's just say the worst that would happen. Let's just say an impression wasn't from God. Then the worst that's happened is I've actually done something nice for someone else or kept myself from sin. How can that not be the will of God? I mean, think about that for a minute.
Do you have an example where you followed some crazy thought and it was the Lord?
Well, here's the deal. I don't always know that it actually was the Lord, because I think Christians have gotten this interesting notion that if we follow an impression from God and it turns out the way we intended, then that must have been the will of God. But if it fails in our definition, then it must not have been the will of God. How would we know that? So when people say to me, well, have you ever missed the will of God? And I said, I'm sure thousands of times, but I'd not ever know it if I did. So when God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, all he really wanted to do was to find out something about his loyalty, Abraham's loyalty to God. So I can't dismiss the fact that maybe an impression that he gives me is simply to test me. And that even in my failure, I've learned something about, wow, I need to do better next time. I need to learn to be more faithful next time. So I've given up trying to figure out which impressions are actually from God and which ones aren't. If they sound like the kind of thing that I'm reasonably certain Jesus wants me to do, then just do it.